Greetings, my name is Chen Yonghui, and my other group members are Chan Eugene, Guo Junmen, Tan Changxiang, and Yap Jiahui. In this context, our group is responsible for explaining functions in JavaScript for HTML. First and foremost, functions in JavaScript is actually a block of code designed to perform a particular task. So for functions, they are only executed when something invokes it or calls it in the main function. Before we get into how to invoke or call a function, let's talk about defining a function. Functions are defined with the function keyword, then its name, and a set of parentheses. Function names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and even dollar signs, which is the same rules as variables. Then, the parentheses may include parameter names separated by commas, as shown as in the bracket. For this part, I'll be talking about parameters and arguments of a function. For parameters, function parameters are listed inside the parentheses in the function definition. As for arguments, function arguments are the values received by the function when it is invoked or called. In this situation, we are allowed to pass variables as parameters to the function. Then, the function will be able to receive the variables as arguments. Inside the function, the arguments, which is also known as the passed parameters, will be behaving as local variables so that the block of code inside the function can be able to work. In this part, we get to see that there are two examples in this slide showing that how we can define a function. So for the first example, we get to see that the function name is called myFunction. And the parameters inside the parentheses is called P1 and P2. And then inside the function, we have a block of code written as return P1 multiplies P2. In this case, we can use the keyword return to return a variable or a value back to the main function. In the second example, the function name is called name, where the parameters are parameter 1, parameter 2, and parameter 3. Comparing to the first example, it is also possible for us to use the function for other purposes rather than just using the keyword returning.
Function invocation calling. The code inside the function will execute when something calls the function. For example, when a user clicks a button, when it is invoked from JavaScript code, automatically return a function when JavaScript returns a return statement, the function will stop executing. If the function was invoked from a statement, JavaScript will return to execute the code after the invoking statement. Function often compute a return value. The return value is returned back to the caller. This is the example of calling and returning function. Calculate the product of two numbers and return the result.
How does the checkbox work with the form in HTML? So this is the simple program for the checkbox, and this is the output for this simple program. So when the user press orange and choose for the orange and strawberries, and when the user press the submit buttons, the output will show orange and strawberries. So how does it really works? Which is when the user press the submit buttons, it will trigger the get input functions. Alright, so let's go for the function right here. So in this function get inputs, we need to declare three variables, which are fruits name with an array, variable I, variable I is for loop, and variable x equals to 0 used to identify element in fruit's name variable. Then inside the function right here, we need to create a for loop which to check for the fruits one by one. So we'll create like I equals to 0, I less than document dot user form. User form comes from form name dot fruit dot length, which is the length for the checkbox right here. So right here we got 4, right? Will be 4. Alright, I plus plus. And inside the for loop, we need to create if statement. If statement is used to check whether the value is being checked is selected by the users. For example, when the user choose apple and strawberry, so the apple and strawberry is being checked. So when the user is not choosing for the kiwi and orange, so the statement right here is not being checked, so it will execute and x plus plus. And right here, document.write bracket fruits name. The line 22 right here is the output for the JavaScript. So when the user press the submit buttons, and this is the output.
I'm going to show you examples of how function works by using JavaScript. Firstly, we have the code that calculates your BMI value and your status. We have to use form in order the JavaScript can retrieve the value from the form. On top of that, form name of input type, button name has to be initialized first before to perform JavaScript functions. As you can see here, I put on click get data. This code refers to when user clicked the submit button, it will trigger the JavaScript function names get data. Here comes to JavaScript part. Like I said before, as user enter click button, it will perform straight away going here and execute the code inside the function. For the next step, we need to get the value from HTML form, like normal programming. First, we need to initialize the variable first. In JavaScript, the way they retrieve the value from the form is slightly different from others. Let me give an example. Your variable name equals to document.form_name for the particular input type .value. For this example, I only show you how to retrieve the value for input type for text. There will be more examples once I finish this. Take note on this, as you want to retrieve the number or the float value, you have to add _int or _float, otherwise the function cannot perform any calculation. Next, call the appropriate function and passing variable. Done! Let's continue to the next.
How checkbox works with form in HTML. First, let's see the code. First, we need to create a form here. We create a form name fruits, and then we create a function here called getData. And then we got a variable called fruit, and fruit equals to document, and our form name is fruit, and we need the name here. So our name is name, so we put the name here .value. Let's see the example. We can see here we got a program. Then I click the apple Then I click submit. The price will come out 1 ringgit and 50 cents. Let's see how it works is this. The little button that we click, when we click the submit button will pass the data to the function. I give an example. Let's see the code. Just now we click the apple, and then the value apple, when we click the submit button, it will send to the function get data. So the value will be passed to here. And then let's go to the next line. Price equals to get price food. So the food value will pass into the get price. Let's see the function get price. And then we use the switch case to find the price. So let's see the switch case. Just now the value is apple, so case apple. Before that, price is $1.50. And then we return price. Let's go to the next line, which is display price. The price will be passed into the display. Let's see the function display here. This line is to display the price. The answer 1.50 here will pass into the price. So the answer we finally will get the RM 1.50 like this.